Interestingly, Lisa also just said to me minutes ago, oh, we were talking about it's so beautiful out. It's like summer here now. And I mean, April has been absolutely beautiful. And it's been a long time since we had a nice April, let me tell you. And it's like summer, everything's popped, but the pollen is, I had to go get a tissue and because like I'm getting the whole allergy thing. But I said to her, boy, if there's one other thing that makes me believe we live in a simulation, it's the fact that at this time of year, I forgot about it, but I've already twice now run into spider webs that go exactly across the top of my forehead, which is exactly 6 feet off the ground because I'm 6'2". And because they're always in the exact same spot, which grosses me out anyway, it's like, okay, the simulator creator could have thought, why don't you change that up a little bit? A little bit.
You could be like across your chest.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Why does it always have to be
in the
like
exact
right here?
same spot. Yeah.
Same thing. Same
It's
thing for me.
gross. Yeah.
I cannot stand that, and I'm getting the willies right now just thinking about that because I cannot stand that. The other day I was on a little walk with Anne Marie, and we were talking and everything, and first time ever, a bird crapped on my shoulder. Couldn't believe it. I was just about home, and I was trying to be all positive about stuff and everything, and all of a sudden, just bloop! I thought an acorn fell on my shoulder, and I looked over, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And Marie goes, "Oh, that's good luck," and I'm like, "Oh,
Good luck. Who came up with that one?
a bird craps on you, and it's
crapped
good
on.
luck."
Yeah. I don't know. Did Johnny Depp feel like that when Amber did drop the deuce in the bed?
That's good luck.
Dude, it's better than hitting you in the middle of that big bald head, right?
True. I
bet it
was
was
wearing
aiming
a
for
baseball
that.
cap. Yeah, it probably was. But even then,
yeah.
I would have been bummed out if it hit my cap. But then it was like taking my shirt off when I don't know.
Oh, yeah. If we get to it. Did you hear about the 10 scientists that are kind of UAP, UFO related that
Yes.
have either come up missing or murdered or suicide, Epstein themselves?
Right.
Trying to do research on that was like, whoa. It just, the AIs were not having it.
They weren't cooperating, huh?
They were not cooperating.
No,
It
they
was
were like,
one
I
of
don't want to
those.
talk about this.
It was one of those instances that once again made me feel like there's a layer in the internet above all else. Like it's, I'm going all over the place, but that with the Hunter Biden laptop scandal, it was like they told Facebook, you cannot, nope, don't do it. Don't do it. And they're like, okay, they complied. But there's other times where it's like, nah, there's no way they're getting to these individual companies on individual issues like this. There's a layer above where
there has
running
to be
interference.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Hit interference, a lot of it.
But that should be very telling, actually.
It's scary. Dude, it creeped
really
me out.
is.
It's
What's
like, I don't know. You and I dig a little too deep into sensitive situations. I'm just waiting to hear about some kind of stuff being found on my computer, and that's about all I'm going to say. But
Yeah. On to other subjects. About that weather again.
Let's go back to simulation. Have you ever heard this one? This is kind of common on the internet about Nick Bostrom. He's an Oxford philosopher. This is like early 2000s. He was made famous for his simulation argument. His three possibilities are sometimes called the three questions. This is like super interesting. Here's the first one.
First explain what simulation is for our audience.
Smart.
And also, we never actually introduced the show.
Welcome to Over 50, starting over. We've not been here for a little while. This is information, get you through your third act. I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison.
So we just were taking a little hiatus doing our personal things, wondering if you want to announce something later in the show about what you're doing. We'll get there. Anyways, but we sure don't stop talking, do we?
No, No,
Two
we've
hours even.
continued that on. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's always going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So his three, oh, simulation theory. So there's a lot of different theories on this. I just tend to, I believe anything and everything at all times, and maybe all things are true if you believe in infinity, which is a difficult, difficult concept, but it's something that's plagued me since my childhood. Literally, you got to explain infinity. That's a,
Yeah. You
that's,
can't wrap your head around that one, man. I've tried
right,
to.
right.
I used to always think infinity was eternally this way, but it's also eternally that way.
It's
It's
right.
like how do you wrap your head around
Dude,
that?
when you start having a conversation about that with somebody, you know what they're going to say. It happens to me all the time. Well, what happened before that?
Yeah.
Infinity.
Yeah.
You
It's just
say
like trying to
infinity.
it's just
Yeah, right, right. So simulation theory, there's a lot of different philosophies on what it may be. I'll just hit a couple just for the brevity of the whole thing. But the one that's it's the concept that we live in like a computer simulation, and
Mhm.
you could get philosophical about what that means. What is code? And when you get to when you start talking about physics as we know it, and then you get to quantum physics, you and I started having this conversation the other night.
Yes.
That's where it gets freaky because it seems to me quantum physics is the point where it goes, where it's unlocking, like, oh, you guys stop right there. That's not for you, human
Yeah.
beings. Because we're just barely getting to understand quantum physics. And quantum physics is basically that probabilities exist. And until one or the other is observed, they all can exist. So now we're into the multiverse. Now I just lost everybody. But so the simulation theory, it's like we grew up, Space Invaders came out. Wow. And then Asteroid. Oh, we should start with Pong. Remember
Yeah,
Pong?
right. I just saw a video the other day that showed a screenshot of Pong, and it's like, God, that's where this all started.
Dude, we
Just
were
a couple of
my
blips.
house was the hit of the neighborhood because we were the first to get Pong on a little black and white TV. Everybody wanted to play it.
Man, I remember when it came out, I couldn't get enough of it. Like, can you imagine kids today seeing that game and being like, what a joke that is to them? They're
Yeah.
practically their video games today are so realistic, it's
Yeah.
freaky.
Oh, yeah, to that end. So you go from Pong to Space Invaders to Asteroids to, oh, all the way up until you get to that, what's that car one
Oh,
was
yeah.
really popular 10,
What
20 years ago?
is the name? I don't even remember the name of that
Yeah, you
one.
carjack people or whatever, beat
Yeah, it
people
was
over the head with trains,
terrible.
whatever.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
terrible.
But that's when it started getting like really realistic.
Yeah,
And
no
I mean,
kidding.
their whole world's built. And so now get to the point, I don't have time today to spend time doing overlays and all this. Look this stuff up for yourself. I want you guys to look up on YouTube Unreal Engine. And Unreal Engine, the best graphics that they have on YouTube videos is like all of New York City rendered. So you could just walk through this, man, go at a street sign and the street signs turn and cars are beeping, everything.
Really?
It's totally realistic, man.
Huh.
So imagine putting on your goggles and your haptic suit, as it's called, so you feel everything, sensations, and you are
Uh-huh.
immersed in that world. And that would be a
Wow.
virtual simulation. And here's the way I look at it. Okay, there's two real big opposing arguments in simulation. One is the Matrix. The Matrix introduced us to this concept in the 90s, for God's sakes.
Right?
And you only recently watched this Matrix for the first
I
time?
know, right? Within the last few years, I watched it. I've heard all about it. My mom is always talking about it's just like the Matrix, and I'm like, huh, she's so much cooler than me.
Okay, then you tell me the Matrix version of simulation, and I'll tell you the other version of
Well,
simulation.
it's this whole idea that you are having, it's almost like you're in a dream state, but you
But
think
you're a
that's
real person.
reality. And
But
your
you're
real person is but
That's the important part.
you're in what you're actually your body, your mind. your soul. You're actually in this. You're in this matrix. I've
No,
looked
you're in
up
a
the word
chamber. Your
matrix.
body's in a chamber.
So
It's
get
being
this, Barry.
used
If
for
you look up
energy.
the word matrix, it also is a word. It's in the Bible actually. I knew you in the matrix. It's in the womb. It's also translated womb.
Really?
Yes. So you're in this. Uh, as you said, it's like this chamber, but you're in this place where your body's being nourished. You're being taken care of. But your reality is that you're living here on Earth, you're having these interactions with
Simulation.
people, but the real person is inside of this matrix.
That's the
Okay,
matrix,
so
yeah.
the reason my mom talks about it all the time is because it's biblical. This is
Ah, I
you're
didn't know that.
Oh, absolutely. The Bible has a concept that as a Christian, I'm living my life here, but at the same time, I'm seated at the right hand of God with Jesus Christ,
Interesting.
who lives outside of time, Barry. And and so, really, I'm there. The real me is there right now. And in front of God, he can see all of time. This is why the Bible has such accurate prophecies of what's going to happen in the future. Because here's my analogy. It's like a parade, okay? If you're sitting at a certain location in a parade, you're seeing every float go by one in a linear fashion. But then, from a God point of view, you're in a helicopter and you're looking down and you can see the beginning and the end as far as the parade line goes and everything
Yeah.
in between.
Yeah.
From my point of view, I can only see things in a linear time fashion where it's coming one at a time.
Right.
But from my seated with Christ view, I can see everything and when it's going to happen and how it's going to happen because it's already happened.
Yeah, there you go. And I want to plug another YouTube video that is helpful to this is just a few days ago. I watch a lot of YouTube videos at night before going to bed. I caught, I can't remember his name. Nice guy. He's even been on Rogan. He's got a show called The Why Files, WHY, and he does all these segments about things like this, that like the simulation theory. He just did one on this the comparison or the similarities of the simulation theory with Christianity. And it was about only about 20 minutes. It was really, really good. And it ended with it, like he tied it up. He did it really well. And he said, so what's the difference? And I've always had that kind of thought too. When we talk about, you're so well versed in the Bible, I am certainly not, but I'm pretty well versed in the simulation theory.
Uh-huh.
And there seems to be a lot, well, for one, singularity when AI starts reproducing itself so fast that it gets infinite in itself and, in my opinion, becomes a god. I think seems to just coincidentally seem to line up in time with maybe the second coming of Jesus Christ. So maybe there's parallels there, or maybe
I
it's
think there are. I
opening a con.
really,
But before we go there, I
okay.
need to explain the other side of the simulation theory. You're explaining the matrix where we are actually live people, but in the matrix, I believe it's an alien race that is using our bodies, our physical bodies, as energy sources and just putting us in a simulation going, there you go, kids.
That is exactly right.
Yeah.
Right. It's sort of
And
it's an evil matrix, right?
yeah, and I think
It's
that
gathering. It's like we're powering their battery.
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I think there's a lot of merit to that. The one that I kind of have favor to is as we were talking about the video games evolving so rapidly during our lifetime, and think about the coincidence of us being born in a time where we were born with almost no technology outside of TVs or whatever, but we didn't have computers and internet and phones and smartphones and
Right.
all that. So it was so cool. We all cherished the fact that we grew up in the woods and doing natural things and really experiencing life, good, wholehearted life. And we didn't get that stuff until later. but we watched it grow from Pong at just the right time in our pre-adolescence to grow into these very realistic games. Like, I don't know, man. I don't believe in like, what are the chances in all of human
I hear
history
you.
that we are born at exactly this time? Maybe
You
we
know,
were fed memories and this, but I get in ahead of myself again because I haven't explained this. So we experience these video games evolve, and now we can actually wrap our heads around. Yeah, I've seen VR before, virtual reality. I've put on glasses and went, "Oh my God, I just saw a dinosaur go by," and things like that. It's crazy if you've ever had that experience with a
I
good
have.
one. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you could wrap your heads around this. Let me just explain it even better. I think I explained this one time a few years ago, but there's since the beginning of the personal computer, there's been this game called The Sims. And
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
it's about a family. I've never played it, but I understand the concept. So if I screw up a little bit, I have the overall gist. So it's
Mhm.
like about a family called The Sims, and you want to make them successful. The dad goes off to work, the daughter goes off to school, the mom does whatever she does, probably goes to work. In fact, she probably goes to work and makes more money than dad, who probably stays home and nurses babies or something today. But what they were like a few pixels, these characters, in the beginning they were barely anything, but the point was that you were nurturing them, you're trying to make them grow and prosper. And as time goes on, they got more and more realistic. In fact, now they're extremely lifelike, and you can automate, whereas you had to send them to school before, now you AI that one. You just send
Uh,
that one out, outsource that to AI. Now, but you might want to throw a wrinkle in there every now and then. Let's say Kelly, the daughter, gets hit on by the school stud football player or something. We want to make her life more exciting. So we're going to throw a wrinkle in there. We did that manually. Otherwise, she just goes through AI day. Same situation, same thing, goes to lunch, comes home, does laundry, blah, 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 blah. And dad gets a promotion. You helped him have a few accolades, and now he gets a promotion. Now the family has more wealth. But for the most part, you're outsourcing more and more of that to AI. Just, you're busy. You're doing other things in real life. Well, what happens when those Sims, the AI, starts to get conscious? What happens
mm,
when they start manipulating the AI to make their lives more enriched? And maybe
mhm.
expand their universe a little bit. Maybe those Sims actually start to achieve we're wondering if they're achieving sentience, uh, real consciousness.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
think that's what we are. I think we're the
Hmm.
Sims.
Interesting. You
Hmm.
know,
And I'm sitting here wondering, my controller, who's always messing with me, good or bad, throwing me a bone now and then and giving me a slap every other now and then just for fun, like he pulling the wings off a fly. But what was I going to say about? Oh, he's watching me and he's going, I think this dude's actually starting to figure it out. He's talking about it
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. I think we're supposed to figure it out, to be
I do
honest with you,
too.
from my Christian point of view, and
This is where they
that
collide.
why are they called The Sims? It's simulated, right?
Yeah.
And we're supposed to know that there's a purpose for us to be here, actually, and that we all have some kind of purpose that's not, like you said, it's not a mistake. Even the time that we were born, none of this is a mistake. I mean, we're meant here for a purpose, much like even as your analogy with the Sims are, is that there's got to be a purpose for these guys, and I think part of it, like you said, becoming sentient. We're supposed to become we're supposed to have this revelation of the fact that God is actually with us. Like when we were in the woods playing around, we weren't thinking about any of that kind of
You're
stuff.
right.
But now,
Yeah.
as we're getting older and we're becoming more wise, we're starting to see there's a purpose in that. There's actually a divine God that is has something for us to do that isn't just related to ourselves. It's related to everything and everyone around us, and we can see that every little action that we take, there's a reaction to the rest of the world around us.
Yeah.
Even this show is about that. That we're actually touching other people's lives right now, and it's having an impact
A
like
ripple
a
effect.
wave.
Mhm.
Exactly. Like we're throwing a stone into the still water and it's making a change all around. It's really interesting to think
Uh,
about it. And what's also interesting is to think about, like, I think about this all the time, is that God is with me, but I can't see God, but I know that He's with me. I look in the Bible and I can see, like, right after Christ rose from the dead, he appears to the disciples, but then he disappears, but then he comes back again, and they can feel him and touch him. He eats with them. He's enjoying food, but he has different qualities that apparently it says that I'll be able to, when I reach a certain point, like when I die or when he comes back, I'll be like him. I'll have a body like him. I'll be able to do the same things. He's obviously in a different dimension than me. We have these
yeah.
3 or 4 dimensions that we live in right now that are very familiar to us. But apparently there are other dimensions that would cause myself to be able to will myself from one place to another. That's why I think, going back to those times we were in the woods, we'd watch these shows like Star Trek, and all these crazy things were happening, and we would use our imagination and think, man, wouldn't it be cool if that, we had these
Teleport.
communicators and we could just
Ah,
boop, 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 and talk
yeah.
to each other. Now we can freaking do that.
Yeah, but the
Um,
flip
it,
phone is already
it's
way
all it's
passe.
it's old now, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but remember how like they'd be on the Enterprise and they would computer, yes, and then they'd have
yeah.
this conversation with the computer, and the computer somehow knew all this stuff. Well, we're doing that with AI right now.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh
we're
yeah.
and then you mentioned the transporter machine. I believe that that's possible.
Oh, dude,
It's like,
15 years ago, there was a news report on down the street from me at Case University. They had teleported an atom or a molecule or something like 20. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the start right there.
yeah.
Well, and it's like, okay, if Jesus says this in the Bible that you see these things that I do, you'll do these things and even greater. And it's like, okay, that's mind blowing. But what did we just talk about? He was able to appear one place and then disappear and appear someplace on the other side of town. That's the transporter machine. We won't need a machine eventually, just like we could do these things with our phones we couldn't do with the flip phone. We won't need all these other things. Like we almost don't even need a computer. Everything's on your phone now. We'll be able to do these things in our mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know this sounds way out, but
Dude, a
everything you're
microwave
talking
sounded
about,
way out in
I,
1971.
I think a lot of this, we've been given this thing called imagination. And what is it saying is that the things that we can uh perceive, that we can conceive, right? Like it seems like all those things back then when we were kids that we would imagine, wouldn't that be cool? Well, look, all of those things are here now because we
Everything,
imagined them.
everything
And
starts as science fiction, and then
and
it
then there's
becomes. Yeah.
then there's this whole thing about back to the Bible again, where God says when people get to be in one mind, that there's nothing that they can't accomplish. The interesting thing about that, Barry, was when he said that, these people had all gotten together and they were building a tower called the Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
And they were planning on building a tower so high that they could access heaven, and basically they were going to take it over.
Yeah, yeah.
And God destroys it because He says that they're all of one mind, so they can accomplish this. What? They
Mm,
could accomplish that?
wow.
Now you said this, that AI is like a god. I think you're right about that. is that we have now not the God, but I think it's like a worldly God, much like what those people were trying to do. They were all of one mind. They wanted to be their own God. They wanted to take over. There's a guy named Nimrod. He was going to take over everything. And God said he could do it. Like if we all, the mind is powerful, especially the group mind. When everybody gets together, look at the accomplishments we've made, whether they're good or bad. Think about AI and how good it is. Think about how bad it is at the same time.
Mhm.
Like we can cause. It's a weapon of war. We can eliminate people with AI. We can distill all this information and tell exactly where you are and send a drone right over and off you. We're seeing that today, and these things are becoming automated, much like the Terminator. These things can now think for themselves and make decisions on their own. And what could the future hold for that? And then we put all these movies together, and all these movies are starting to come true. Back to the imagination thing,
Mhm.
back to the simulation thing too. This is all like connected, it seems like. It's
Well,
it's it's freaky, man.
you raise a lot of interesting points because I, you said that with the Tower of Babel, when you all become of one mind, and I
Yes.
think that's what, like, dude, we are just slaving. We've always slaved away at technology, trying to perfect it and tweak it like bees building a hive. We don't know why, but we can't stop. Nobody can stop it. People were calling for moratoriums on AI. Oh, yeah, you go ahead and do that. So China runs with it. I mean, you can't
That's
stop it.
exactly right. The
But
only
I,
reason you call for a stop is so the other guy stops, so you can
yeah,
build your
exactly.
own.
So that I think that I think that it's kind of like the Big Bang, like everything was one, and then kaboom! You know, everything just blows apart into billions and trillions of pieces, and um, and I think that from there we all try to come back, slowly come back together. We do everything we can to come back as one, and that's God, that's heaven, that's whatever, only to blow up again and do it all over again infinitely. And what you said, like when I was getting at about AI becoming a god, and that is when it replicates itself in probably when it's paired with a quantum computer, a stable quantum
Oh
computer.
boy.
Uh-huh. But maybe that is infinity too. Maybe that is the ultimate purpose, and that creates its next universe.
Well,
We
I don't
become
think you're
whatever
far
we
off.
be. Right,
Well,
exactly. Well, that's what
think
I mean
about like,
about we're born in this time.
you're right.
Coincidentally,
No, I don't think it's a coincidence. I'm
it's
with
an
you on this, right?
illusion, man. I think
It,
it's an
I,
illusion.
And also, we talk about you were talking about quantum physics at the beginning, and now quantum computing. And what is quantum? It's light, and the properties of light. This becomes a very, 3D chess kind of thing when you start to think about the properties of light and the universal speed limit and going the universal speed limit, and we can't, these things are hard to
Thank God
comprehend,
for
but
that speed
but
limit.
but at the same time you've got these computers now that are going to be able to think at the speed of light, and that there's something there's something about it, the speed of light, that has an interdimensional property to it. That whole thing about where twins are on the Earth, and one of them goes off to a far out star at the speed of light, and when he returns, his brother is like ancient, and he's only a few minutes
Yeah.
older. There's something interdimensional about that, the property of light, and something almost divine about it. God is light, it says in the Bible, right? Okay, so if he's light and the light, what is quantum, right? Like we're approaching something that we can't even wrap our heads around it, but we're fiddling with it now, right? And this comes back to the simulation thing, and how does that tie in? And it's even our own ability to dream dreams. I've been having really intense ones that seem so real. I've woken up in the middle of the night and just like, oh my gosh, thank God that's not real.
I
You
have
know,
very realistic
and
dreams.
it's so how can that seem? I mean, if you were to live in that dimension, let's call it, you wouldn't know that you were in a dream. You would think that was reality, and yet you were almost like the Matrix. Your body's in this other place, but you're experiencing life inside of your own mind. Like,
Mm-hmm.
think about the ramifications there of what our personal reality is today. And in church, people say this, well, none of this is going to matter when you're in eternity. Well, I got news for you. You're in eternity right now. Just like on that show, The Matrix. Wow, what was the guy's name? He had like a really cool name on the show, in the
I
movie.
don't remember.
Keanu Reeves. I can't
Mm.
remember his other.
Neo.
Anyway, just like
It
him,
was Neo,
he's
wasn't it?
living this reality, and Neo, he's living. Yeah, Neo is living this reality, but it's not really reality, and yet it is. Um, it's a whole like mind blowing concept right here, but it seems like there's truth to it, and it's funny how a lot of these movies seem to they're supposed to be sci-fi, but there's so much truth to them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Hmm.
those are is that by design? I don't know.
Yeah, we're given little hints of stuff. So another thing that I think about a
Right.
lot is the possibility, like when you see where we're at today, and there's this thing about being a 60-year-old now that I always think you observe 60-year-olds throughout your life. They always think the world's going to hell in a handbasket. And
Oh, those kids.
when I was a boy, back in the good old days, and
Right.
and so, but you know what? To me, it's looking like the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and we may destroy it soon, or, God only knows what. I'm just going to run with that for a minute, even though I recognize it sounds like an old man. Where if I were 19, I'd be like, "Shut up, old man. This is my world. You don't even know anything about it." But in my world, my observation, when things seem to be just maybe pointing into dire directions, it would be nice. Like, what if we knew that we were on a collision course to destroy this world in 10 years, exactly 10 years from today? For some reason, we know that now. Like maybe our quantum computer, we stabilized it enough to do some crazy stuff, and we came up with that. And we're just sure about it. It proved it to us. So
Hmm.
we also were able to say, well, we got one thing that we can do here, and that is we're on the verge of creating, with this quantum computer's help, excellent simulations. We need to throw variables. So we need to create as many simulations as possible, thousands, millions, maybe an infinite, and throw tiny variables into each, do controlled experiments, and see which of these civilizations crack the code and don't destroy themselves so we
Hmm.
can find the
Hmm.
way. There's your
I bet
simulation
you they're
theory,
doing that right
infinite.
now.
That's my point.
Yeah.
We're one of those experiments. That's why
You
we
know,
are in this time period right now, looking like we're maybe 5 to 10 years away from destroying ourselves or whatever. See if
yeah,
we
you
can
reminded
crack
me
the
of
code.
military war games. Yeah, I mean that's what they do in military war games is they come up with all these scenarios
Hmm.
to see which one is the winning scenario. And I mean it's actually not a bad idea to do something like that.
That's a
Um,
great idea if you can, if you
you
have the
mentioned
means.
too about how we viewed people that were 60 when we were like teenagers, and
Yeah.
I sometimes wonder if people that are teenagers view. I'm sure they're like, whatever, old man. I mean, I don't think that's changed, but I think that many of them now have this very nihilistic view of what the future is, and where we
I
were
would think.
imagining, oh, I'd get a good job, have a wife and kids, and
Yeah.
send them off to college, retire, go down to Florida, and live out your days. That's kind of what the American dream seemed like then. I mean, so many of them are thinking exactly what you just said. Well, the world's going to end in 10 years, so why do this or why do that?
Nihilistic. Because I think it's very important where you started to go. I remember my friend Susan, I had this conversation about a year or two ago. I said to her, "You got a 20-year-old. What on earth does she think of this world and her possibilities, her future in it?"
Is she
Whereas,
Gen Z?
yeah,
Okay.
and whereas what you just laid out a second ago, we were
Yeah.
like, we got the whole future ahead of us, and glory, glory, glory. And she goes, "This I'll never forget the simplicity of it." I don't know, Barry. She's the 20-year-old. What did you think when you were 20? This is just your world, and you accept it. This is your world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was
That's
like,
a,
the
yeah.
simplicity of that kind of blew my mind because they don't think what we think they think, you know?
Well, you're right. I mean, when you grow up in a world,
It's your
that's
world.
your
It is what
world.
it
Yeah,
is.
that's
Yeah.
what it seems like. You're right about that. And like I said, they're probably still like, whatever, old man. Just the same way that we were back
Hmm.
when we were their age. But they have such a different reality. They were brought up in a world with all of this
As we see it.
technology,
Yeah.
and the changes that they've seen. It's hard to fathom, like you said, as we see it, it's hard to fathom their reality because we saw such change in our environment, like dramatic change. I remember
As soon as we
being
got
in
out of
high school.
college. Yeah.
Yeah, I took a typing class in high school and I dropped it like maybe a month and a half into it, thinking, well, I'm not going to be a secretary, so why should I learn
I,
how to type?
no one's going to be typing in five
Right?
years. That's what we all thought.
I was thinking, secretary, would be insulted. Like, I'm not a secretary, right? Like you can't even say secretary anymore. But what a bad move that was. Dropping out of typing, but I still am a two-finger typer. I never actually learned, but yeah, just our world changed on a dime so dramatically. Um, you
So
know,
fast.
where our entertainment is so much different. I was just talking to Anne Marie yesterday about, uh, man, remember how fun it was to go to the movies? I mean, we'd go to the movies all the time. People, I don't know, I don't even know what's at the theater anymore. Like
No.
our
I
lives are
can't
so
believe that
different.
people actually go to the movies. I
Do
literally,
they? Do they actually go?
well,
I
yeah, I
don't even
read
know.
about new releases and it's expected to almost crack $1 billion. And that's what I'm always thinking.
Who's doing
Who's going? Yeah, who's
that?
going?
I think they're all going in China. I
To
mean
your
that's another thing is the market is in China. They got 1 billion people, so this is really crazy.
yeah, they got more than that. Don't they have 2.4 billion or
There's
something?
there's such a debate now, Barry, about do they really have that many people
I've
over there?
heard
Because
that.
remember the whole one child law that they
Yeah,
had,
yeah. Oh, that's
and
killing
so
them because they have
they've
too many
run.
old people now, not
Yeah,
enough young people to.
they've run the math on this though. Like
We're doing the
when they
same.
started it, it was like they had a 500 million people. So if you had a one child law, how could you be at for so long? How
Mm.
could you be at 1.5 billion now? It's not actually possible. So
Yeah, right.
uh, so not mathematically, it's not possible. So
Yeah.
it's like what is that just their way of trying to intimidate the rest of the world?
Dude, everything's a
It seems
psyop
like.
now.
Yeah,
To
right.
I mean, to wrap up these points, I was thinking this yesterday about, our communication. That's the major thing that's changed. And we talked a minute ago about if we can become one. And I think that that's always what we're trying to do. And 100 plus years ago, we would get the telegraph or whatever via the Pony Express or whatever, and find out the so-called news that's going on in the world a month late.
Right.
And oh, I found out I'm being drafted to go to a war that I just heard about. And that's the way, what the beauty of that was, is what you were concerned about all day, every day, was what was going on in your home and in your community right there, because your survival depended on that.
Right.
And
Right.
making sure the farm, the crops, the animals, and all that were working, and you had shelter and true safety. That, I think that's what humans are really, really naturally geared for. So then we get to the point where we get radio that goes right into TV, and we have our news, our newscast. Think of Walter Cronkite. Everybody trusts Walter Cronkite, what he's telling us, and this is what's going on in the world. And look at us. This is the pinnacle of society. We now, every night, get told in a half hour what's going on in the world. We know everything now. Think of how silly that is.
Right. It is silly because we don't. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the simulation too, is that we think we know everything that's going
We
on in the
always
world,
think
and
we're at the
yet,
pinnacle of
and
some society.
you mentioned it too. It's the psyops, right? It's that this
Everything's
is
a
the thing. Is
psyop. Think of the
we're
psyop that was going on when they can control that information like that that's coming through one channel.
Right, how easy that was, but now you've got AI to take massive amounts of information and distill them into a common communication. We saw this
You
during
took a
COVID.
giant leap there, though. Let's just do one more step in between.
Okay, go right
And that
ahead.
is okay. So when we got to the point where we have CNN and Fox, we spent decades thinking, oh, now we really know what's going on.
Right.
We have these competitors that are giving us our talking points in 7 minutes breaks here between commercials. And so now we really, really know what's going on. Then we get the internet. And the internet matures to a point where we have individuals doing journalism. We were told that these guys in Fox and CNN and all were journalists and doing journalism. Then we go independent, and people that are not even being paid or trying to get paid or whatever, we're putting individuals, bits and pieces of information together for ourselves, and now seeing what the psyop. Oh, that was all psyop. We were all being led down certain roads and at each other's throats in order to create a smokescreen so that all these other things that can go on in our country and this world. And I believe that we are in a bigger and more complex psyop now as us as
Hmm.
individuals try to piece together truth in the way we do today, currently, right now. And they throw out so much misinformation, and all the bots that throw out the controversial stuff in the middle of it, and always a monkey wrench. And there's a lot of truth in there too. We just having a hell of a time trying to discern. And until we link at least a little bit back to that, when we think as one, more or less, let's not go that far, but if we can link up enough where we can sense intent, where we can sense betrayal or mistrust or non-truth from truth, boy, that's the real game changer. When we know
Yeah,
when we're being lied to.
this goes back to our last show. I mean, we were talking about how not to be controlled, and this has everything to do with
I
our
don't
critical
remember.
thinking
Oh,
skills.
okay.
Yeah, we would remember those cool pictures and everything that I was flashing up, and I was going through. Okay, well, it
Cool
was that
pictures of
long
what?
ago.
You'll jog my
It was
memory.
it was like it almost looked like Julius Caesar
Oh, yeah. Okay.
talking
There
to
we go.
those people,
Yeah.
and it was how governments try to control everybody,
Yeah.
and these are the telltale signs, and here's how you resist that. And it all boils down to really critical thinking skills
Hmm.
and being able to sense when you're being manipulated.
Yeah.
But today it's so interesting. We talk about AI and simulation. Today we really have a hard time believing our own eyes. They show
Oh,
you these things that are happening, and it's
don't
like,
know.
is that really happening or is that simulated? And they're trying to make me believe something. Even if it is not simulated, it's a point of view. It's just like that whole thing where, have you ever done that experiment where it was like everybody sees something? I remember I had a class. Let me just back up. I had a class when I was in school, and somebody ran into the class, and then they ran out. And then the teacher actually planned this. They did something crazy when they ran in, and then they ran out, and then it was like, okay, tell me what you saw. And everybody had a little bit of a different thing that they saw. And so it's like we live in this world of video clips now. And
Mm-hmm.
the video clip is only one perception or one perspective of what actually happened.
Yeah.
And yet they want you to believe that that one perspective is the truth. And we buy it hook, line, and sinker almost every time, unless you're trained in your critical thinking skills or you're turning your critical thinking skills on to evaluate, okay, what really
Yeah.
happened? Is that the proof that that happened? Or what would these people be trying to get me to believe that
Uh,
isn't really happening? What is their motivation? How do they get paid? These kinds of things are the things that we should be thinking about all the time,
it's exhausting.
especially in the world that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I don't want to be coming off as a pessimist because I'm definitely not a pessimist, but we do live in a world where we're surrounded by people that are trying to manipulate us.
Oh, yeah.
Our computers, our smartphones are weaponized against us,
Yes, they are.
actually. And a lot of it has to do with advertising, getting us to purchase something. And that's why they're tracking. This is the whole impetus for them tracking everything that we do, because if they can figure out
They
how
might
we
want to blow you
think,
up someday too with a drone.
this is the problem, is that all that data is still collected and can be
Yeah.
used. Well, we saw it in Iran.
Yeah.
They were able to lop off the head of that government because of all of the data that they had from their smartphones, from the surveillance
Yeah.
cameras that are all around town, and they put that into AI and figured out exactly where these people would be at exactly what time, and boom, blew them up. Um, this is the dark side of
Yeah.
our technology, and even the whole concept of simulation.
Right, right, right. For some reason, you were making me think about the Mandela effect. I have no preparation for it right now, but one of these days, I always wanted to talk about the Mandela effect on the show. You know of it?
I don't.
You don't know the Mandela effect. It's
I
like,
probably do, but if you're going to have to jog my memory on
well,
that.
it comes from what's his name, Mandela. Everybody seems to remember that he died in prison.
Nelson Mandela. Okay,
Nelson
yes.
Mandela, and he
Right.
did not.
No, no, he became the president of South Africa after that.
Right, but I always thought he died in prison too. Another one is picture the Monopoly guy in your
Oh,
head
yeah,
from
yeah.
the game.
Yep.
Everybody remembers him having a monocle with the top hat and all that. He never
Right.
had a monocle.
He didn't?
No, never.
That's crazy.
Everybody remembers Jiffy peanut butter. There was
Oh, it's the
never.
Pringles guy that has the monocle. That's the Monopoly
No,
guy's
that's the
brother.
peanut guy you're
Oh,
thinking of.
the peanut guy. Okay. They're all related, right?
Right. Jiffy peanut butter never existed.
What? Wait, how is that true?
Jif. Jif.
Oh, it was just Jif. It wasn't
Yeah.
Jiffy.
There's a ton of them. Like I said, I'm not prepared for this, but all of this, I guess if you get back to simulation, there's theories that, oh, deja vu is one. A glitch happens in a simulation that creates an offshoot of reality and it's looping back a little bit, is deja vu. But Mandela effect is a similar theory. There's one that is supposed to be one of the most famous ones, but I'm not familiar with it. They always talk about it. The Berenstein or Stein Bears when you're a kid. Do you remember the
Yeah,
Berenstein?
yeah, yes, I do.
I don't.
I never watched it, but
But people remember the name differently and they show it. They flash up what people think it was, and then,
oh,
nope, this is what it really is. And everybody's like, no, no. And people like vehemently are like, no, that is not. No.
very very interesting. There it is.
Maybe like I could Google it and come up with 30 of them right now, but not today. Another day that we will talk about that. But it's super, super interesting when you talk about things like deja vu and the Mandela effect. You got to like, because you will come up with Mandela effects that will tweak you in a way where you're like, okay, the rest of those didn't resonate with me, but that one, you can't tell me that wasn't the way it was, you know?
I'm thinking you're getting me to think about something that happened in history. When you go back to World War One, we had England and Germany and the Russia fighting against each other, and the all three kings. If you look at them, they look identical to each other. And here's why, is because they were all cousins. And so how confusing though. You're like looking at one, he looks just like the other, but he's even speaking a different language. Like think about how that changed all of world history moving forward. These guys were all cousins and they looked identical. They had these crazy pale blue eyes too. It is a trip when you think about this kind of stuff. Going back to simulation,
Uh-huh.
was that part of the simulation? Like, what? I mean, what?
I, that's a
I don't know.
crazy stuff right there.
It
I,
really is.
Dude, we are really, we've already been at this for an hour, and there was a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to throw a couple of good ones out at you, just helpful tips. I should have done this maybe at the top of the show, but I wanted to make sure I get it in there. A couple of hacks. I spend $20 a month on chat AI, right? So I have this dedicated. You might, and if anybody's thinking, well, I don't want to spend another $20. I understand. I don't throw even $20 a month around at all, except that it pays. The ROI on this is amazing. I just saved 325. This sounds like a commercial, dude.
It's Geico.
Yeah, Geico's in here. I just saved $320 a year by changing my auto insurance from Progressive to Geico because I was in the loyalty penalty.
What?
There
I
is a
can't even
thing.
believe you were actually going to talk about Geico.
Isn't that funny? There's a thing called the loyalty penalty. It's an algorithm with insurance companies where they know if you're still with us 8 years later, 10 years later, we can raise your rates because 85% of you are going to stay with us. But 15%
What?
will wise up
Wow.
and shop. You won't shop.
Yeah.
So the point
So you get
is,
penalized for your loyalty.
I got my last car insurance bill and email, and I was like, dude, I have a 100% clean record. And I'm
Me
like,
too.
that looks high. Like, what the hell, man? I mean, it looks high again. And so I just threw it to AI, and it said, well, log into your account and give me your whatever, your information. And I
Right.
did. It's and Progressive has always looked really good to me, and like they have always been very automated to stay very cost conscious. And AI was like, you got to go to take 15 minutes and take this information, go to Geico and to Erie Insurance Group. I think that's more of a Northeast Ohio one. And compare the rates, make sure that you use these exact same figures. And yeah, dude, save $325 in 15 minutes per year. Then another one. Then, because a couple of years ago, I planned on getting a new car, but car prices, used cars, everything went through the roof. And I have a Honda Accord with 97,000 miles on it. People are like, a Honda? That's like brand new, you know?
Right, that's true.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, I'm going to put my money into just fixing up my car a little bit. And I went to get a new exhaust system. My exhaust system was making the noises. And two local guys were like, that I trust were like, look, you're looking at $2,000. We're going to replace the whole damn thing. You're looking at $2,000. But if you find somebody that can do a custom pipe bend, something like that, look into that. So I go to AI. They're like, go to Parma, go to this place. It's a family-owned business. They do this custom kind of stuff. I saved $1,200. It cost me
Whoa.
$750.
Wow.
So there's 15 plus $100 that I just saved in a few months because of using AI. And I just,
Just for $20 investment every
hmm
month.
hmm
Yeah, right
yeah,
on,
it's
man.
just when you
That's
got a
very,
question.
very convincing.
Another thing, so I just wanted to make sure I threw that out, especially every few years, 5 years. Okay, don't let your insurance go more than 5 years without getting a competitive quote. And the
Wow,
same
that's
can
good
be said
advice.
about your energy prices, your electric and your gas, home,
Hmm.
energy prices. All right, I
Well,
want
let
to go.
me just tack onto that, even though this is not a chat or GPT or anything like that. But I recently called my smartphone provider, and which is AT&T, and T, and I told them, "Hey, I feel like
Oh,
I'm paying way too much here.
yes,
This
you
is kind of
are.
crazy." And they were like, "Let's look at the promotions." I cut my rate in half.
Do
Like
you know what
they
you
knew
pay a
that if I
month
started
about?
shopping, I do. I'm not going to say what I pay because
Okay,
I
I
don't
pay
want people
about
to.
$83 every 3 months. Me. So divide that.
What? 83 every 3 months? That's
Mhm.
pretty good. Who do
It's
you
really
have?
good. Mint Mobile.
Mint. I never heard of it.
I think
And
they
that's
got bought
probably
out
the
by
point.
somebody. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's super easy to change. So definitely take a look at those too. Why throw out money for no reason when
Right.
if you're not
Right.
getting anything in return? I know this is a big change in subject, but I wanted to give you the opportunity if you want to say anything about what Nick Shirley has been doing and has accomplished.
I
Because we
gotta
talked a
say
lot.
this
You
is
had a lot to say.
really well. It's really insane what's going on right now. I mean, he is. I don't have my notes in front of me because I didn't think we
Sure.
were going to talk about this,
Well,
but
dude, we had a great conversation
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
I did actually do some research on this. So, of course, he's the guy. He's 23 years old. He's an independent
So
journalist,
smart.
and I got to say, yeah, this guy has got some courage. He's the one that really exposed the Somalian scam that was happening with the
Minnesota.
different daycare centers in Minnesota that were picking up all kinds of state and federal funding, especially after COVID. And he would go up to each one of these places, and many of them were abandoned, and or there would be somebody there, no kids. But then suddenly there were a group of Somalians that were threatening him and chasing him away, which was pretty crazy. It turns out that there's a multi-billion-dollar scam in Minnesota, and I remember while he was doing that, and you've got Tim Walz, the governor there, and you've got Ilhan Omar saying, "No, no, these things aren't
Oh,
happening. It's
God.
really the red states that are doing this." But it turns out they're. In fact, I just read this morning that this is in front of their state Congress, and they called in Ilhan Omar to testify. She won't go.
Oh, really?
She's refused to testify in
I
front of
can't
their
believe she's still in this
state
country.
Congress. It's hard to believe. $9 billion is what they said that the taxpayers have been bilked out of in Minnesota, and so I kept saying while this was happening, he should go to California. I mean, this is if nine
Tip
billion
of the
dollars is
iceberg.
happening there, and they've got to be exponentially above that. So he goes to California, and he goes right to Los Angeles, Van Nuys, as a matter of fact. And he instead of going after the daycare centers, which he dabbled in that a little bit and was able to find multi millions of dollars of tax fraud there, he goes to the hospices. Dr. Oz is on this as well. Now get this. There's something like 450 hospices in like a 2 mile radius in Van Nuys, California, which makes up
How's that even
50% of
possible?
it makes up something like Los Angeles in general makes up like 50% of the hospices in the United States. And in this Van Nuys area alone, it's just like crazy, like 450 of these. So he starts going to each one of them, and in the places are completely abandoned. Yet in the parking lot, you've got Lexus, you've got
Oh, yeah. Same as in Minnesota.
Teslas, you've got all these beautiful cars. So he starts seeing people coming out to their cars and starts trying to interview these. And these are some shady characters. Here, it's the Armenian Russian mafia that he's
Oh,
dealing
my
with.
God.
And I actually,
The
I might be able
balls
to
on this
find this.
23-year-old guy. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, he's really something. I saw him on what's the guy's name? I thought I
Well, I
saved a clip of
listened
this.
to him on Tucker Carlson a few days ago. Tucker did an interview with him, and I was like, my God, is this young man intelligent? Not to mention his bravery, but his intelligence, his curiosity, all of the things that we all wish that we had and would like to think and tell people that we would do that if it weren't for this, that, or the other. Well, he's doing it. Now, here's another thing. When we were robbed of Charlie Kirk, what was that now? Probably 7, 8 months ago now, is my guess. He was the top end of Gen Z, right? Wasn't he, Merle?
Yes, yes.
And think of the
He was kind of the
robbery.
authority on how Gen Z thought. Yes.
And so you got Nick Shirley, also of Gen Z. We were talking about just several minutes ago about our different generations. I just think we need to first of all, we need to stop blaming the younger generation for being who they are because we created this world and them. And what we need to do is reach out to them. First of all, praise people like this young man, mourn people, continue to mourn people like Charlie Kirk, and hope to God that we can nurture a lot more of this in that generation because they're so screwed by us.
They really are. They
Yeah.
really are. So this gets worse though with Nick Shirley. He was on a popular podcast recently talking about the fact that his mother was called and told that the Russian mafia does not want him to investigate their stuff any further or there will be consequences.
Oh, that's so dark, man.
This is ugly, but now you have something called the Nick. It's nicknamed the Nick Shirley bill in California.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's it's funny because I looked this up on chat and it was a lot like what you were looking up about those scientists. That the
I have
chat
a
did not
video of it. Yeah.
chat didn't want to talk about this. Um, it
Ah!
was like there is no Nick Shirley bill out there. It actually said that, and the bill isn't called the Nick Shirley. It's not called. It's
Right.
called AB 2624. But I think it's funny that chat didn't want to talk about it. I was like,
For
okay, I'm going to
sure.
make you talk about this.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was introduced by a legislator there called, her name is Mia Bonta, and she is, she's all into this whole woke kind of thing. Of course, almost all the legislators there are
Of
into the
course.
woke thing.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about this is that what this bill would do if it's passed would prevent people like Nick Shirley from going to these sites and interviewing these people and catching them on camera
Exactly.
and really the whole they're saying no it's not really all about that it's really more about preventing these people from being doxxed
Hmm.
and so we want to include them in like these government workers. There's laws for government workers to not be doxxed, right? And so you can't
Oh, the
just go to their house.
semantics that they're hiding behind.
It is really crazy. Here's the interesting thing, though, is that Mia Bonta she actually replaced one of the seats from the legislature uh, by a guy named Rob Bonta, who he went on to become the
Coincidence.
Attorney General of California. Yeah, that's her husband. Okay, so he's the Attorney General of California. She doesn't get elected. She gets appointed to replace his seat when he gets elected. She's putting together a bill, sponsoring a bill that would stop the identification of fraud in the state, which the Attorney General, her husband, would be responsible for prosecuting.
Hmm.
Talk about a conflict of interest
Oh,
here.
God,
Talk
yeah.
about shady California crap going on here, too.
Oh,
This is a total attack on free speech, but they're cloaking it with protection of anything to do with anybody that's dealing with illegal immigrants, that
Minnesota
somehow
was
this is protecting them as a protected class, actually.
Minnesota was a great starting point, jumping off point to get your feet, get Nick to get his feet wet for all of us to get familiar with this exact tactic and riling up the townspeople into saying that this is bigotry. Oh boy, the people love to, and I know people think, as I would have a couple years ago, think that this sounds very conspiratorial when I say there are paid organized protesters, instigators in there. But that is actually the case. And but the level of corruption in California is, I don't know what else to say about it other than it's evil. It's
It is.
disgusting.
It is
And
really disgusting.
I did save a link. I saw on Twitter, it was a 10-minute video. I only watched 3 minutes, but it was of Nick Shirley going up to all of these representatives that voted for the bill
Oh
and
yeah, that's a great
questioning
one.
them. And oh my God, the guilt. And they are walking so fast, and I can't talk right now. And oh my God, it's a total bust. The
I've
whole
seen people
thing.
on treadmills in the gym that were walking slower than these people, man.
No kidding. So, I mean, all of this is really, it's just disgusting. Did you
It
have any
is.
want to wind up the Nick Shirley stuff with anything?
I just want to say that it's interesting when you take a look at the Nick Shirley thing and you compare it with everything else that's going on in the world. You talked about how they ginned up this whole bigotry angle to cloak this like,
Everything's cloaked in
it's not
bigotry.
it's not about fraud. It's about how these people are bigots that are coming after the Somalians, right?
Yeah.
And boy,
God.
there's something in the news lately that relates to this. The Southern Poverty Law Committee, SPLC, they're the ones that identify all the bigots, all the bigoted organizations. They've been around for
Oh,
like 50 some
oh,
years. They're in the news now, where they've just been indicted actually
on
because it
charges of
turned
racism. I,
yeah,
yeah,
they've been funding the racism,
yes, yes.
and so it's like this is keep your eyes open,
It's
like you said
always the
earlier.
people that are calling people racist that are doing the racist stuff.
Well, the SBLC has an endowment of $1 billion. Okay, they want to keep on adding to that endowment, but there's just not enough racism out there, so they've got to
Supply and
raise up.
demand are,
Yeah,
yeah.
they have to raise up all these racists and
Yes,
everything, and then
yes.
you start to think about that whole thing where they say Trump said, well, there are good people on both sides.
Uh-huh.
Did the SPLC actually fund that whole thing? Like the whole thing is a psyops, as we've been saying. It's all a simulated thing where we're supposed to be at our neighbor. I've had conversations with my neighbors where I've said, "Well, here, read the record. Here's what it is," and then all of a sudden we're in this big argument, right?
Mm,
We're
mm,
supposed to keep our eye off the ball, which is that
yes,
we're all being bilked here, and
always.
be at our neighbors' throats here. And this whole thing about being of one mind, being of one mind isn't always a bad thing. Like I pointed out, it's a good thing when it's like we're being separated, so we can't figure out that this whole thing is a
Where
big
you're
scam
right,
that's
where
happening
you're
right
wrong.
here.
It's great if you could be of one mind when you realize I'm never always right. I'm often wrong. And everybody is the same. So if we bring it all together and try to figure it out, rather than point fingers and fight, but actually try to figure it out, say, I
Right.
think he's got a point there.
There it is. Have an open mind to what other people are saying. Put yourself in other people's shoes and try to figure it out. It's not always racism that people have this the
It's
affinity
virtually
towards, right?
never. Yeah,
I have
yeah.
to say too, like we started out talking about what it was like growing up in our time and everything, and it seemed to me like, as far as the racism thing goes, that there was a point in time about 15 years ago when I couldn't imagine it being any better.
Agreed.
as far as racism
Totally
goes.
agree. Yeah.
And then I don't know, maybe it was more like 10 years ago. It seemed like around 2014,
Is the
we
second term
started.
of the Obama
Yeah, we started
administration.
hearing about white supremacy all the time, and
Oh, that was
like
Biden. Yeah.
even before that, it was just like
Yeah.
it was in the news and all this kind of stuff, and it was like there's a machine that's trying to get us to be mad at each other, and it exponentially increased over COVID. And remember that video we played where that woman was like, "I just want to put my arm of privilege over this young black man here," and it's like, you better get your arm off of me, woman.
Yeah. I want to mention something that I was just looking at my notes as we wind up. You're going to like this one. I was walking the dog at the park. I got all these dog walking friends and stuff. And one guy in particular, he's got a kid that is roughly 13 years old in the Cub Scouts. And I don't know if that's the right age, but whatever. He's in Cub
Yeah,
Scouts. He's got a
right,
kid in Cub
right.
Scouts. He does a lot with the Scouts. Apparently, Boy Scouts is now called Scouts. His
That's
kid's in Cub Scouts. Okay, whatever. But so he does camping stuff with them and all of the, activities. And I was just digging, getting more information about it. The more I got, the more excited I got because I said, you're doing all this camping and stuff. What do you guys, you always talk about, what do you do like January and February? He goes, dude, they camp 12 months out of the year. I'm like,
wow.
what? And I said, well, okay, so the electric heater tent kind of thing. No, in a tent. He goes, there are emergency provisions, but he goes, the worst that's going to happen is going to have a bad night's sleep because it was really cold. But he just went on to say how these young boys are learning hardship and character and all. And he went on and on about this, and I'm
Surprised.
mind blown. I'm like,
Yeah.
today? And today's day and age? And he's like, yeah. And he told me a lot about it. And I started, man, I just could not stop asking questions. I started thinking, like, people spend a lot of money to send their kids to private schools because they're smart, knowing that our public schools will ruin their kids. They're worried about their kids' future and stuff. Well, how about sending them to freaking Cub Scouts?
Yeah, right. Wow, I'm impressed. I had no
Totally,
idea.
man. Totally.
That is
So I was
awesome.
asking him about Scouts, and he says, well, yeah, they do stuff with Girl Scouts, but it is separate because, you're 15 years old or whatever, and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. But they do have intermingling time. And he goes, which is really good because he says, I grew up in an all boys school. That, let me tell you, that's not the way to go. You got to learn socialization. Everything that he told me about these organizations, my mind was blown in the best ways.
Interesting. I love to hear that. That is very positive.
Yeah, so I want to again stress the need that we have to build a bridge to Gen Z, and
Right.
instead of making them forge their own way, how about we offer a hand and do what we can to pull them up and try to right a few wrongs that we may have created along the way.
I think it's important for all of us, Barry, because these are the people that are going to be running our world, and they
Mhm.
already are in many aspects. And
Sooner the better. We couldn't screw it up anymore. Sooner
right,
the
right.
better. Yeah.
Well, we all make mistakes, and so
Mhm.
but we have to learn from them, right?
Yeah, right.
And maybe they could stand on our shoulders here in the future instead of with the trajectory it seems like they're going. If we don't help them, learn from our own mistakes that we've made,
As
especially when it comes to raising kids, because
yeah,
I think parents. There's such a dichotomy of being too involved in your kids' lives and being not involved whatsoever.
exactly
And
right.
and, and you even with this whole when we were kids, it was get it, go to high school, then go to college. Maybe that's not the route going to
Agreed.
college any longer. Maybe it's learn a trade, learn a skill that
Hmm.
you know, um, we're coming into an age now where AI is going to be replacing a lot of these skills. Be smart about the skills that you're learning here. Um, Make it so that you have a good life going forward that's sustainable.
May
And
want to take some survival classes.
Yeah, yeah.
Learn how to live off the land. It may come in handy one day.
It just might. It just might, Barry. I think
Well, you know
there's a
what,
lot of hope.
Merle?
We need to instill hope in these people. That's a big deal right there.
We talked a few minutes ago about how, on an individual basis, it's important to understand that you're not right about everything all the time. And the person that you're talking to, you may not agree with most of their viewpoints, but they might have a point now and then. And so
Right.
listen with an open mind. That is the same of our generations. We're not so great because we grew up in the 70s riding banana seat bikes. We've been wrong about a lot of things and complacent and gotten railroaded on an awful lot of things. But we also have a lot of wisdom. We've done a lot right. We've done a lot wrong. And that is going to be the same with Gen Z. And they got, the problems of youth that come with youth. And my point is, once again, building that bridge is super, super important. And my God, I think our entire government needs a youth movement as well. And with the right people and with, we got to break down the divisiveness. We got to, everybody's picking a team. You know what? That's what critical thinking is. It's being able to see shades of gray. And not everything is either black or white. Everything has shades of gray in it. And so as we try to write the country, if we can, wherever we can, I think a youth movement would be good, keeping an open mind. Look at J.D. Vance, young guy that he is. He seems like, I shouldn't have brought him up. I'm sure that just triggered a lot of people. But I think he's, if you ever listen to him rather than just hear about him, I think he's a pretty impressive individual, as I also think Vivek Ramaswamy is, but I just probably triggered the other half. So maybe I should just shut up at this point. You want to wind up this show, Merle?
No, it's great to be back together with you, Barry. This was a lot of fun talking through all of this stuff. Had a lot of laughs as we imagined this whole simulation thing. It was
Yeah.
very stimulating having this conversation with you. I'm looking forward to the next one.
You as well, buddy. I hope you have a great weekend and everybody else out there as well. Great talking with you.
Oh, there's some stuff you're supposed to say at the end here. I
I
forgot what
don't
it was,
know.
though. Yeah.
I'll catch us on
How do
over.
they find us? Yeah.
Go to over50startingover.com. Sign up. Get this to your email box as it happens. We're at YouTube at over 50 starting over. And all the podcast channels. Do what I do. Sign up on Apple Podcasts or Google Play and listen to us while you're going down the street and at the gym and shopping.
Right on.
All
All right,
right.
Barry.
See you, buddy.
Well, hello there, over 50 starting over, and my AI after 50 friends. Mark Tennant back with you with your AI tip of the week. This week, it's part 3 of your AI reset for 2026. Start thinking like an AI leader. Here forward on the AI tip of the week. This is the start of the pivot of the AI tip. Now, being proficient at AI is one thing, and over the last 52 episodes, we helped you, hopefully, get there. But using AI tools and platforms to their fullest potential is truly thinking like an AI leader. And who knows your job better than you? And at the rate ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and all of the other platforms are improving, it is staggering. Capabilities of these AI models, it's eye-opening, and to some, it's daunting. But don't let it be, because we've got you covered here. However, it is time to make a decision. You need to be all in right now with AI to be successful. It's not going to go away, I can tell you that, especially if you're a leader of any type within a business, organization, or company. Today is the day, right now, when you're done watching this or listening to this, sign up for a paid version of your favorite AI tool. ChatGPT is a great place to start. It's $20 a month. And the capabilities from the free version to the paid version are like night and day. Apples and oranges, or green beans and cantaloupes, as some people say. And remember, it's not about being a techie. You do not have to be a techie to be an AI leader. No need for that. So, we're going to introduce you to your new AI thinking pal. You bring the years of experience with your job, and AI will be your thinking pal. No matter what, AI can help you with anything. And as an AI leader, this, today, right now, is your call to action. The chances are extremely good. AI can help with anything. So go to your favorite paid version right now of your AI platform and ask it one business question you've been thinking about. Anything. The more complicated, really, the better. Let's see how it responds. Then once you see how it responds and you talk back and forth a little bit with it, think to yourself, what would it mean for your job, your business, to have a tool that could do all of this for you and your peers every single day? So I worked up a prompt using your AI Thinking Pal, your new AI Thinking Pal. So here's the prompt. Let's work on this together as my AI Thinking Pal. I'm facing the following challenge or problem, and insert that problem here. Remember, think about it. Make it real. Don't make it an example. As an expert in whatever the topic, guide me and ask me one question at a time so I can carefully work through possible options and ideas. Use any role to create your AI Thinking Pal. You can make multiple AI Thinking Pals. I have one for finance. I have one for investments. I have one for business. I have 3 or 4 of them. So just have it be an expert in anything. And then always ask to yourself, how can my Thinking Pal help me? How can AI get me there? Here's a pro tip. You can build your own AI library, working with your AI Thinking Pal to pull that secret sauce out of you, what's in your head. You can create reference guides with it, one-page problem solvers. If you're something you know and workers keep coming to you about it, use the AI, create that how-to document, and hand it off to them. There is a gold mine of knowledge up here. I know it. It's your job. You know your job. You've been doing it for decades. Let's put AI to good use, and let's start today for you to become that AI leader in your business, organization, or company. So wrapping up, to stay relevant and valuable, become an AI leader. Become somebody that's indispensable, that you'll be almost impossible to get rid of. Start learning this, really bearing down and learning this stuff. Use the paid versions right now of the AI tools. $20 a month for ChatGPT. It will be the best $20 a month you will ever spend. Your boss will realize your value. The company will realize your value. So will your peers. Again, make yourself hard to replace and create performance review boosts. Just document what you've been doing, how you've been helping with AI. It's only going to help you when review time comes around, and about that time of year. Now it's your turn. Always ask AI, how can you help? Start using these tools, these paid tools. Create as many AI Thinking Pals as possible, and always assign your AI Thinking Pal a role, a persona you're an expert in, whatever you want it to help you in. I'm telling you, you'll create it and keep it forever. And as these models develop and you keep using these AI Thinking Pals, they'll get smarter and smarter as you go along. So start now, start today. I want to hear what you're doing. I want to hear how you like these paid versions. Mark@marktenet.net. I want to hear from you. And then on the socials, I'm in LinkedIn. Best place to find me at Mark E. Tenet. So until next week, your assignment for today is sign up for a paid version of ChatGPT. It's only $20 a month. Keep it for 1 month if you don't like it, but I have a feeling you'll be using it and probably subscribing to more paid platforms. So until next week, take care and keep working.